You just dump everything into the blender. 4 eggs. 1 egg. Oh, I feel like the count. I feel like the count. Right, 4 eggs. The reason why I did the eggs that way is to make sure I didn't have a bad egg. I've only had that happen to me once, but it's good to be sure. 1 cup of sugar. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. I guess this is going to make the crust. We're going to add a 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. 2 cups of milk. I'm using whole milk. 6 tablespoons of melted butter. 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I'm going to be crazy and actually measure my vanilla. I never measure it because I just go whoop. 1, 2. Oh, I love vanilla. Now we're just going to whiz it all up. I love this variable speed thing. I mean, oh my gosh. 1/4 cups of shredded coconut, and I'm using the sweetened kind. Oh, coconut's so good. 1 1/4. Just give that a little pulse. So that's it. Now I'm going to spray a pie dish. You want a nice deep one. You can also just butter that. Here we go. Whoa, that's full. Ooh, boy. Now we're going to pop this into a 350-degree oven and cook it for 55 minutes to an hour until the center is set but still a little jiggly. You can test it with a toothpick. If it comes out clean, it is ready. And then we're going to allow it to cool. You can serve it warm or at room temperature or cold. So I will come back when this is cooked and cool, and we shall see if it creates its own crust. I baked my pie, and boy, did it ever puff up in the oven. It went and I actually lost a part of it. This little piece went. So if you make this recipe, use a slightly larger pie plate. Mine is a 9-inch, or just don't use the full amount of batter. Maybe make a mini pie as well. Having said that, I'm still very pleased with how this turned out, and it couldn't have been any easier to make. Now for the moment of truth, let us see if this actually did its impossible feat of separating into 3 separate layers. Let's find out. This looks so beautiful. So this has been cooling now for about an hour, so it's about at room temperature. And look at that. That's amazing! So you've got the coconut on top, this kind of golden crust on top. You've got this middle, and it actually formed a crust. Look at that. That's a crust. It makes its own crust. That is so stinking cool. It actually makes its own distinctive layer of a crust. I thought, oh yeah, it'll probably separate, but that really is a separation. There is a crust there. Amazing. And then you've got this kind of golden layer of coconut on top. Okay. Wow, that was great. Okay, let's go ahead and taste this pie. There's the crust. Amazing! It made its own crust! Gosh, that's so cool. I love science. Alrighty. Itadakimasu. That's pretty great. If you like coconut, you will love this dessert. It's buttery, it's rich, it's still at room temperature, so it's eggy. If you don't like eggy custards or tarts, I would say have this cold. That often happens with tarts and pies that have eggs in them. For example, if you make a pumpkin pie, it can have an eggy flavor if you eat it at room temperature, but once you have it completely cooled, you don't taste it any longer. I happen to like that. It tastes rich and delicious to me. I like the textures that are going on in this pie. You've got the desiccated coconut on top. That gives it a little bit of texture. You've got that great coconutty flavor. You've got that really strong buttery flavor. The inside of the pie is very soft and custardy, but then you've got the strands of coconut in there, which give it a little bit of bite. So while this pie did indeed form its own crust, it does not have the texture of, say, a crust of an apple pie or a pumpkin pie. It's not short, flaky, crumbly, or dry. It's a little bit more pancakey. It definitely does form a crust, and it is distinctive from the filling, but it's got a different texture. The edges of the coconut get nice and crispy and toasty. Really great texture and flavor. Delicious. Great little pie. And so easy to make. So there you have it, the impossible pie that is indeed quite possible. If you love coconut, you must try this recipe. If you like making an easy pie, then you definitely have to make this recipe, because I've never made a pie any easier than this one. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Thanks again for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I hope you guys learned something, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo. Take care.